Greetings, technology enthusiasts. I am Chandrahas and I am delighted to be here with you representing CyberBrainer. Do you not believe that the technology sector is advancing at an unprecedented rate, making this an opportune moment to acquire the skills that will facilitate your progress? With CyberBrainer, we are empowering you to take control of your own future. At CyberBrainer, we do not merely impart your interests. We assert that information is power, yet it is the application of knowledge that distinguishes you. Our courses are meant to equip you with essential skills, whether you are pursuing data science, understanding artificial intelligence, or delving into cybersecurity. Let us commence the session and seize the future today. Thank you.
As of now, there is no queries and it is easily understandable because you gave me examples based on the situations or scenarios I have given you, right? That was easy for me. And in terms of anything that I wanted to create, right? For example, when it comes to lump sum, or if I want to create a template for a lump sum, right? Can you just tell me like how I want to start that? For example, everything has an eligibility rule, right? Like lump sum or thing. I might sound like a name, but suddenly it pricks me. I have to ask you the question immediately. Like anything that I wanted to create as a compensation plan, right? Just create a comp plan, create a salary plan, create an 11th plan. Similarly, do I have a lump sum also? Right. Let me come back to your question first. We mentioned about the eligibility. I have already briefed you, like normally how we create the eligibility. Based on the scenarios, like based on what is how I create a pivot. Based on the requirement of data, right? Similarly, based on the report, I'm asking what is the task. You have to do the create eligibility rules. Is a task. Which one? Oh, when it comes to lump sum, it is always the compensation eligibility rule. Normally, when we are talking or briefing about anything with respect to compensation, we will always go with the compensation eligibility rule, and you can create a rule. Talking about lump sum, right? You want to now? Coming back to your next question. Talking about lump sum is nothing but a type of a plan. Till now, it's up to you like in which way you want to give the lump sum. Whether that lump sum is going to be a straightforward amount like 10,000 euros, 5,000 euros, in whichever way you want. Second thing that comes into us, you want to give it in a stocks. It's completely up to you in which way you want to pay the lump sum. Accordingly, you will create the plan. If, in case you want to give it in terms of stock, then you will create a stock related plan and you can define it over there. Similarly, if you want to give it in a straight way, either you can create a bonus plan, or you can, if you want to give it, maybe through the allowances part, you will create the allowances plan. It's up to you like in which way you want to pay. If in case you want to pay the lump sum in the form of merit plan, you will include that. You make the lump sum as a part of the merit plan. Now I got the thing. Rest is what I will be pitching in. That's not a problem now. That's clear? Thank you. I have another question. When I wanted to see all my 2000 employees pay range data, right? Sorry, can you please repeat again? Do you want me to repeat? My question was when I wanted to look all the 2000 employees pay range data, say like I wanted to look out all the compare ratio and the min and the max and their current compare ratio. And after the merit cycle, there will be another compare ratio. I will tell you a scenario when I use success factors, right? When I do a compensation planning while I initiate the merit cycle process, I will get to know for each of the sub-department. For example, if I go with each of the compensation manager, right? Usually we go with the comp manager because that's easier in success factors. Each compensation manager is each business unit, heads like a VP or SME. Under there, whoever the employees are, that will keep accounting to them in that particular folder, right? Likewise, there will be comp managers folder which elevates individual employees who are reporting under him as a profile. It starts like this. It starts with an employee. ID, the employee name, the current country, they are in the supervisory organization. And there will be multiple sub-columns where it will be like their current compensation, like their base pay and their whatever the variable allocations. What is the percentage of variable remuneration given for them? And what was their current compare ratio when it comes to market min and max? And what is the country? We also give country-wise merit percentage. Based on individual countries' performance also, we have a country-wise merit percentage. Maybe it's like 3%. For some countries, we will give an efficient 5% based on COLA ratios. That is also there. And keeping in count, there will be a distinguishing between current compare ratio, and once the merit percentage is applied, what would be the new compare ratio? And I wanted to enter salary plan, the entire merit plan of all the employees. Do you have any data here for me to show or for me to pull out? I can have a look. I have a report, right? Here you are briefing about the compensation review or the merit cycle that runs, right? I told you there is a standard report that is available. And talking about if, in case you wish to have any other report with respect to any additional data. In the last session, I briefed you like how to create the custom report. That is the another part, but talking about the merit, one that you are briefing, right? This is the one here. Let's take an example here. You can mention your own respective organizations. Let's take an example for sales organization. Like I am the manager, I want to look into anything with respect to my organization. I can mention my organization name. I have to mention about the review process that I am talking about, whether I am talking about the previous one I want to review or the current one. If in case I want to review the current one, I will select the respective review process. I have an option wherein I can review only for one single employee as well. I don't want to review for all the employees. I want to just review for one specific employee. I have that option as well. Or 2 or 3 employees. Whatever number of employees I want to select, I can select. Or from the organization perspective, I want to select. I have all those options available here. Like you mentioned, if I go with the custom reports, right? Like compensation review event, I will be able to see this. Good thing. I just wanted the similar. I will show you one more. Can you see my screen now? Just searching. What I'm trying to say is this is giving you like a report, but in success factors, I will be able to make the changes as a compensation administrator. This is what I wanted. This helps me, for example. This image can help you better. If I get into the system, by referring yes, in the report itself, you can make changes. Is that what you are referring? Like this. See, I can make changes. I can make the changes of lump sum. I can add a comment here. Like, for example, if there is a special case, right? Next to the employee, I can add the comment section here where it will pull out. And this is the grade level. And this is the review rating. What this employee is. And what is the proration this employee gets? The currency code, current annual salary. What is the merit? Guidelines based on the country level, lump sum. And whatever the adjustments that needs to be done, I can make the adjustments. Why I'm doing this is, you remember in performance review process. There is always like, oh, I forgot a word. It's a lovely word, which I use often. Why it's not? My brain literally stopped functioning for some time for any calibration. Exactly. Any of the performance calibration process. Right. We need to do this adjustment. The manager will be literally clueless. Sometimes I have to be during the merit cycle process. I have to be a very rest in bitch face, keeping them like, why am I speaking with idiots? This is the logic I get, because respectively of how many times we put this, they are going to make mistakes. They are not going to do the adjustments. We are going to do this everything in back end. That's why every week, what I do actually, while I was using success factors is, I have all the data sanitization process. This data sanitization process, every manager, every day when they do the cycle, I do the daily report download and I sanitize the data for any changes, if there is changes, that is getting freezed. And I let the managers know like, it's frozen the data, we cannot do the changes. This is basically for our calculation and also ensure that the merit is not getting inflated, because I am accountable for my management boards. I want it similar like this, where instead of here I am getting as a custom report, I wanted something like an editable format like this. How I do that? I want like, I am taking this particular salesperson. Under the sale, if there are 5 reportees under him, I wanted all the 5 reportees where I can make individual changes in one go, rather than going individual profiles. Normally for that, what you have to do is, normally that option manager, anyway, right, as a part of the compensation review process, but the way you are showing it, right, the calculation happens automatically in Workday, right? You have to define like whatever the full amount is and everything, right? And based on that, with respect to the grading, whatever is going to happen, Workday will auto calculate. I will not be able to. For example, if you wanted to give 1% structural increase, that option, that right, but you will not. You will not get that in the form of repo. Let's take an example of Let's take an example. This is the worker for whom I want to do. For this worker, alright, if you go in the worker history, you'll be able to find that compensation review process in progress. You can go to the related action of that event and make some corrections. And you can correct whatever amount you want. Right. If in case you want to make changes to the stock or anything, right, you have that feasibility that you can go in and you can do that. You taught me about the recent and the cancel option, and that's when did you see this here? The correct option that we get here, this is what normal thing will use, and this correct option will not be accessible by everyone. It is limited to specific people. For example, it can be limited to the manager, to the comp admin. There will be few group of people with whom this access will be restricted. For example, during a merit cycle, there are like multiple employees. We will not be able to know during the time of the merit cycle of the 3 months. There might be multiple attractions as we need to remove that particular employee from the process. In Germany, irrespective, you are going, if you are eligible for the variable incentive window, right, your merit will be stopped, but your variable incentive will be promoted because that is your earned incentive and nobody can stop because that's for the given period end to end. It doesn't matter. You are leaving the company. Even after you left the company, this will be paid out as a cash out or as a stock, whatever the company, variable share or incentive plan. In such case, I wanted to remove particular employee from the supervisory organization. I wanted to exclude only one particular compensation plan. For them, I wanted to only exclude the merit plan, but I wanted to keep up other plans for them. However, how do I do that? Here you are saying what your briefing is. Like for one of the merit plan, you want a worker to ineligible. Like select. Usually we don't do manually one by one employee. Like how you went for Logan, I wanted to filter the employees based on the termination date. That is very easy. You can go to that specific plan. You can update the eligibility rule and you can create an eligibility rule. If any worker is getting terminated on this date, he will automatically get removed from that specific plan. There is a standard report, maintain compensation. Employee. And if you want to cross verify, right, after you update the eligibility rule, and if you want to cross verify, review, process, there is a delivered report. This is maintain compensation, review, process, employee participation. This going to give you list of all the workers. First of all, just for your reviewing purpose, let me show you that. After that, I will come back to from talking about the question that you are mentioning, right? Mainly that can be done by updating the eligibility rule of that specific plan. Because here you are briefing about, you want to remove one specific plan for some group of people whose termination date is on specific date. You can update the eligibility rule that you have already done, right, over there. If I am wanting to create something like a customized automated plan, like an automation for these things, I can just reach out to my Workday partner also. If I am wanting to create something like a customized, normally, remember one thing, whenever you are going for any, normally you would need many, right, by which you can review, like you are mentioning about comparison. I have mentioned briefly about a Workday delivered report, like this one, compensation review merit award report, right. There might be a scenario. You don't want the report to have this many list of him, right? Because you might want to give access to some group of people for whom all these items should not be accessible. Exactly. You might link a report wherein you need only some of the outputs that can be known to the managers or maybe any respective group of employee or a top level manager, right? In that scenario, a new custom report can be created, right? Which will have whatever fields you want. For example, this is a classic example where I wanted to do a budget planning with my financial planning team, right? They might not need what is employee's job data, which grade, and what is this base salary also. I will just give this job position, and this is the base salary. It is a GDPR issue here. In Europe, it's taken seriously. We will not be given any of the employee data, not even the employee ID, employee name. We will just give you job position and the base pay, what is job position gets. And I will share it with them. That helps them to create a budget. And we will just give them overall headcount to figure out what is this individual job positions with a pivot. I will just give them the headcount of each of the individual job positions. How many employees are there? And what is the total base salary for them to plan for a forecast of budget. And also for the head count report. We call it as FD cost modeling. For that, we need to test you. In such cases, I can do such customized report, removing all those columns, and I can share it. I need not just download that and just filter out all the thing in Google Sheet and say, I can just do it in Workday itself. Whatever respective fields, whatever filters, to whomever you want to restrict. Because talking about all the fields that we see here, like all these fields, each and everything can be restricted. If I don't want you to show this action, just downloading this, it's funny to see, because my team, they export this data, everything, and they filter it in the sheet available. They have a GDPR enabled sheet. They put it in. They import the range in Google Sheet. They do this, and they just give the access to the finance team. I feel that is my team. I feel I am working naive. I just wanted to understand how you do. Can you just give me an example? Can you show this? How you do? Mitch, what you're saying is, like, how to export this and all. That's what you want to? How you just cut the columns for them? I'm just putting it only to one particular supervisory organization or only to one person. For example, budget planning, I will deliver. Listen to me, please. If I wanted to share this data, right, to my internal team, for example, it's a budget planning, I will be able to share. Should be sharing only to two people in the finance. One is the CFF. Another one, what is it? The head of financial planning. These are the two employees of the entire organization. They need to know the data of what is the cost estimate, what is the forecast estimated, and what they need to plan, and what is their budget to give back to me. How I do that? Talking about this is a standard report or a Workday delivered report. In this report, you cannot make any such a restriction. This report access are only limited or restricted to the comp address or mainly at the top level management. Talking about, we have an option, right? Normally, we can copy this report. I do not have the access. Normally, I can copy this report, the Workday delivered report, and restrict it only for one specific organization. Right now, we are able to access all the organization. Right? In the filter condition, only will mention this specific organization. And talking about all this, number of filtered organization. Finance is a bigger organization in my company, say like 25 employees. I just wanted to know, give the data only to the 2 employees out of the 5. In such case, I'm telling in which out I can share with organization. You say, right? Finance, I have a 25 employee under the finance organization. Under the finance supervisory organization, right? In that, I just wanted to give only to 2 out of the 25. In such case, how I give the why about only 2 employees? The access to this specific report. Is that what you're saying? In yesterday's session, only a brief. You're right. It's not mandatory that I will give you the finance whole department the access. Yesterday, we created one report. Right. Let me open that and let me show you. I can give access only to you or 1 or 2 employees. To home server, do I have access in Workday tenant to work on? Right. Whatever access, you will have the same access. I practice on creating reports also. Let me try that. I still have one more. Let me create a report bundle. I will directly show you about that. I will get a report. I will just add the report. I will do. If you go to any report in the share column, here yesterday last session as a brief write. Don't share report definition. If you offer this option, it will not be shared with anyone. This report will be limited to whichever worker or employee has created it. If you will share with all the authorized user, normally there's something which we don't do because we do not want everyone to have access to any specific report. Again, it's not like all the employees will be able to have the access. Only those workers will have access who have access to this data source and the columns that I have mentioned. Whichever worker will have access to all these internal items that we have within this report, they will be able to access this report. But if in case I want to share it with 2 person or only 1 person, right? Let's take an example of share people. I wanted to share it with you. If the checkbox is in circle, you can opt only for one. in case. Let's take an example. You want to share it with the comp admin. All the compensation admin, right? Normally, you can just select the security group named as composition admin and it will automatically share it with all the employees who will be the composition admin in the account. Now I got this. Now I have one more question considering the advanced compensation. We have something called job profiling, right? For example, in the initial class, you taught me about the compensation grid. Like to create a compensation grid. My question comes here, where when I do an organization restructuring, when I wanted to pull out a new job itself, I wanted to do the what to say. I just wanted to that. Create compensation grid is like a template. For example, it's a template of creating a new job role or restructuring the existing job role and giving them whatever the salary range for that particular job evaluated is. Right? I didn't get you. For example, I wanted to restructure a role. I see that a person is wrongly at there is a job mismatch. I see the job grade mismatch. Let's say like a job position mismatch. The person for the experience. The person should be by now or what is a principal engineer, but he has been still as a staff engineer or there is a second scenario where principal engineer is lesser than a staff engineer. Which is unlikely. A principal engineer is always one level above the staff engineer. Right. But say like my organization has done a job position mismatch where a principal engineering is below and staff engineer is above. I am doing a restructuring for the scenario. How do I do it in Workday? And how can I develop a job catalog for my employees in Workday? Normally, here you are briefing about the profile and the management level that we have set up. You have to make changes to those. Because normally here, let's take an example of let me open any job profile. Let's take an example of stop engineer. I'm randomly taking some of the job profile. Can you see this management level or job level? Let's take an example. If you are defining that based on the management level, then you have to first of all create a new management level. After that, you can align it whichever Let's take an example. As of now, this is the management level that we have in place, like manager, individual contributor, chief executive officer. This is the one. Let's take an example. The way it has been set up, it's not accurate. I can get this printed if in case I wanted to do something in between CEO and executive vice president, like in between I want to introduce a vice president. In that scenario, we create a new one over here. And talking about whichever job profile should be in vice president level, right? I will remove the existing one and I will get it updated. Normally that's how you do, and talking about all the pay ranges, and everything will be done based on the management's level. That's how mainly we can. You're talking about a job leveling here. My question is creating a job catalog. That differs. Leveling is not a job catalog. Leveling is like, if you see, what you say is a classic example. When this is a scenario where my organization was initially a 16 level job grade, but we wanted to downsize it to a 9 job grade and keep it simple. And we wanted to play. Have you played this Mahjong grid, like where you realign and shuffle the grids to align it in a tree kind of format and ensure that obstacle goes? Similar concept is what you do in the leveling part. You do the mismatch. You do all the permutation and combination by giving each of the profile scores, and you arrange this job level. This is not I'm asking. They're shrinking. See, if I wanted to shrink from 13 to 9 grades, right? I will be doing this. That is like logical for me. What you say talking about one person's job position. It's a staff engineer. He needs to be a principal engineer. And say sorry. The staff engineer is lesser, is higher than a principal engineer in such case. How do you do the adjustment? What is the job catalog and how you will do the job catalog for individual job positions or individual supervisory organization. For example, if I wanted to have a twinner grade like L1, L2, L3 in software engineering, right? How you do that? That is called job cataloging. In a catalog, you have a set of jobs under one supervisory organization. Under one particular job position, there are 3 trainer grades. For example, it says software engineer. It will be like junior software L1 and software engineer and senior software engineer. This will be my twinner. How I will be introducing. Normally for that, what you're briefing, right? The job catalog. Mainly job catalog. For that, we have a family group in normally talking about all the job profiles that we have. We merge it in single group and we term that as a job family group. That's how mainly we define like. Normally, if you're briefing about like a software side, right? Like, let's take an example of software engineer. Within that, you have level 1, level 2, level 3, right? Talking about merging them or making in a one single one. For that, we have a job family group phenomenon that mainly we use in Workday. Talking about that again, those job family. Show that to me. I can just keep this recording and I can utilize that in future. Will, the last 10 minutes will be easy for you to take care of the deferred compensation calculation. I just have to brief you about the calculations, like how it is created. It's only about calculation. The 10 minutes would be enough for you, right? Because we are already at 41. And today's our last session. Talking about benefits. It is also similar to what we have learned here, right? like similar to the creation of what we do here, like a 11th plan, like that. You have a benefits plan for country wise, right? There are many different benefit plan. There are a lot of stuff related to automation, how to automate all the plans, how worker will be able to enroll into benefits, right? Automation of reimbursement and payout modules. It triggered the payroll team for the reimbursement cycle. That's nice. Talking about this job family that I was briefing about, right? If you can see, right, if you want to hear, this is a practice. And normally if you're tenant, you have the access, you can go to this respective item. Their things will be pretty much clear because you will have the relevant job profiles. Within that, there will be a job, family group. That will make things much clearer. But this is how we are talking about the levels that you were talking about, right? This is how mainly we interlink. That would be job family or a job family level. Got. Let's take an example for like I have a job family named a software engineer within software engineer. I can have like a various or I can create a group as a software engineer. Within that I can create a software engineer of different types that I have. And talking about all those job families that I will have. Within that I can include all the job profile that is linked with those specific related job families. And again, all these things will get auto linked with the job profile because here I'll be mentioning the job profiles, right? Whatever job profiles I mentioned here, this will automatically populate in the job profile level through the job family that I have created. Anything else? No, I got an answer. Thank you. Now we will discuss about a deferred bonus, right? Mainly deferred bonus is nothing, but I hope you are already well aware, right? Like normally deferred bonus is something that we use. Like let's take an example of a bonus plan, right? Wherein I want to pay the worker in terms of like initially he will get 25%. After that he will get 50, 75% and 100%. Right? Mainly talking about this deferred plan or bonus plan. Mainly we have to understand like how. Mainly it's all about calculation. Talking about that, the task for that is create deferred bonus calculation. Normally, if you see here, right, the calculation, here you can define the name based on the year, also like a template like 2024 deferred calculation, right? Talking about the reference field, this will be automatically available, which you can choose. Here you will define the currency wherein you want to do the calculation. Now talking about this checkbox like progressive calculation. Normally, if you select this checkbox, HomePay mainly calculates deferred bonus payments progressively with the multi-targets, right? Normally, if you talk about the range section here, right, let me briefly like how normally we add the range. It can be different with respect to a different requirement. Like I can leave the range in my select. Let's take an example, tier 1. Tier 1, the value can be like 1000. I can mention is that 10%. I can mention is that 10 cent. I can add it as tier 2. I can mention some like till which value I'm briefing you. The calculation here is not that much complicated, simple, straightforward one. You can mention whatever value you want to put in. You can define the percentage like whatever percentage it is. Let's take an example of 5,000. You can mention it as a 50%. Like that, it is going to be 5,000. Right. You can have as many range that you must. And based on that, it is going to calculate. And normally, you can link this with the bonus plan. That's it. Like whatever calculation you create here, you can link that in the bonus plan. And one more thing, when you select the progressive calculation, right, there is a minimum amount that you have to define, minimum threshold. Like what is the minimum bonus amount required for this progressive calculation that we are talking about? If in case the minimum threshold that I have set up here, it's around 1500. Normally what it does is it doesn't differ any bonus amount in that scenario, in case it is less than the minimum threshold that I have defined. I have a question. This is on the amount based, right? In case I wanted to do a CA deferred calculation, it's on percentage basis as well. And based on the, what did you say? Deferred calculation will come based on the deferred cash can be paid based on the percentage. Also, like 50% of their base salary can be their deferred compensation. Out of the 100 of the incentive, 50% can be a deferred cash value and 50% can be a share which the person owns as stock. When it comes to variable, and most of the organizations say like deferred bonus, we precisely in Europe markets we give it only for the management boards. In such case, my management board has, as per my compensation policy that I had with my last company, we had a deferred bonus paid out in cash for my management board, where the threshold itself is 200% of their base salary, where 100% media shares and 100% will be deferred compensation. Like the cash payout, where it is a waiting period of 1 year. And after 1 year, it will be paid out in installments, like in branches for the upcoming multi-years. Like for example, for 2023 to 2024 will be the waiting period from 2025, 26, 2027. Whatever the amount attained by them in for 2023, right? That will be paid out in 3 branches. How I do that like that in Workday here in this template. What you're saying is, if in case you want to pay some amount of in the cash and some amount in share, in the in shares, right? Multi-year target. I am aware like how I can do it in a multi-year target using stocks. You've taught me the different cash. How I do the similar way, adjusting my calculations where the threshold is 200% of their pay self. See, talking about a deferred, right? This is mainly used for the bonus plan. If in case you want to mix it up with the stock options, then you have to create a 2 separate one, right? For with respect to bonus, this should be the one, but talking about if in case you want to link it up with anything related to stocks, then you have to go entirely into the stock options one that you have. You cannot mix it up. I got it now. Anything else? I have to create it like a 2 different plan with the separated calculations. Right. Maybe in future, if in case we can have this deferred option. If there is a transaction available for stocks, then there might be some scenario, but as of now, deferred is paid out in cash. It's not given in stocks. Say like for example, for a management board, a composition plan for a manager management board, like all the C execute C-level. Their composition plan goes extremely different with the commoners. Their pay mix is 60% as their variables, and just the 40% will be their payout of base salary. That is their pay mix. We give them the utmost pay mix, where the base salary is irrelevantly higher. At the same time, whatever the base salary they are getting, their targets will be double the achievements. Like it will be 200% of the threshold for an individual contributor, it will be always 100% of the threshold of the base salary. But for a management board, it will always be double the thing, because they are the carrying partners of the balance scorecard. In such case, I wanted to give them multi-year target before bonus plan, where it will be paid out with 1 year of waiting period, which I will anyway set up using the eligibility rule, where I will give the 1 year waiting period. But I also want to put multi-year targets. The system needs to auto-calculate the 2023 whatever they're giving, say like 1 cent. If you are a C-level, you are getting 100,000 euros as a deferred compensation, which is 50% of your 100% of your variable share variable incentive plan, where there is an option for you to choose between how much percentage of the 100% of your variable incentive plan, how much you wanted to restore as stocks, and how much you wanted to restore as deferred compensation. You chose to keep 50-50, like 50% of stocks out of your off of your 50% of 100% of a base salary, where 50% stocks and 50% is what you wanted as a deferred calculation. Today, the company's target has been like 50% is the annual target incentive target achieved for the year 2023. The company has achieved 50% of target, right? Say like you are getting for the you are getting 200,000 euros, right? In that 200,000 euros, you will exactly get 100% of your variables, which is again a 200,000 euros, which is your variable incentive. On 100% of your base salary, which is your base salary, is 200,000 euros. I'm talking about in that for the multiplied, you will get 50%, which is none other than the 100,000 euros. Now you have 100,000 euros worth of incentive plan. Well, 50% will be the stocks paid out in stocks in units. The remaining 50%, which is 50,000 euros, is what you're going to pay as a deferred cash. You will be having 1 year of waiting period, which is 2024, and the 50,000 euros will be paid divided by 3 in the 3 multi-year targets for 2024, 2025, 2026 and 2027. How I will automate the system, auto-calculate this template. This is my scenario. I need to create a deferred compensation template out of my scenario. How I do this? See, talking about the option that you're mentioning, right? I told you about like how to create the eligibility for the deferred bonus. First, you can do that talking about this default compensation calculation. You can use this and you can set up the calculation that we looked into. And talking about the stock option that you want to include in this, you can see this deferred stock plan. Normally, now what you're going to do is you can defer whatever based on deferred calculation, whatever amount restrictions that you want to put in, you can link it over there. After that, here in the stock plan, you can see you can select the respective. As I said, right? You have to create another stock plan. New one based on your criteria. And you can set up the limit over there. Let's take an example of any respective stock plan. Because in bonus, what we can do is we can merge it up, but I cannot make anything within this stock within the bonus plan. But here I can get it calculated, maybe based on the compensation matrix that I set up. Based on whatever I want to grant him, right? I can set up each and everything over here. And based on whatever stock plan that I linked it, right? It will work based on like it's up to us, right? Talking about the default calculation, that is going to work, right? If in case you want to pay it via stock of plan, you can do it. Or else you have multiple eligibility here, right? If in case there are two different eligibility rules, right? And you want to use the calculation in two separate ways, you can use over here and you can add it. Now I get it. You can create whatever deferred bonus based on your requirement. And you can link it with the specific eligibility rule. You can mention, let's take an example. Like after first year, this should be the maximum amount which can be withdrawable. After second year, this should be the amount that can be withdrawable. We can set up the criteria and the calculations accordingly and link it with the respective stock plan where we can define the targets. Like this would be the one like that. I'm going to get it. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.